Well, I certainly hope that for the benefit of America, as well as other places in the world, whether it's China or whatever, that we certainly establish greater and better relationships. But at the same time, I hope we don't rape or rob Africa out of those resources that for years countries that moved into Africa, because you're continuously seeing the poverty.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is due to the exploitation of others, including some of the folks in Africa
Mm-hmm.
certainly aren't doing what they should be doing. But that is a continent that is blessed with all kinds of natural resources and needed resources.
Mm-hmm.
And as our population continues to increase, those resources are even going to become more valuable, not only to the residents of Africa, but internationally and globally. I heard the two of you talk about sister city type relationships. I personally sometimes think jokingly that our city government ought to have a sister city relationship with the black community in terms of establishing stronger working relationships and opportunities in terms of how both can benefit from each other and that type of a thing. I know in tonight's show, even though we're talking about global economies and relationships outside of the state and outside of the nation, during the 40 years I've been here, I can actually see where we really need to strengthen and encourage. And I'm hoping that tonight there will be individuals watching that will be inspired, will be informed of opportunities, and we're always talking about how this now is a global nation, from kids in school, and I want to compliment you for the work that you did with District 150 while you were there. You know, we're competing intellectually. When a kid graduates from a Manual or Central or Richwoods, they're competing now against a kid that is in a country or in a city that they probably can't even spell, let's don't realize.
That's right.
And it's the same way in terms of businesses, that you know, things have just expanded beyond the so-called neighborhood pop store anymore. Mm-hmm. We even found that out here. I mean, the Walmarts and the Walgreens and the CVS's kind of knocked out the little neighborhood small businesses right here. And today it's even greater because we're competing with businesses. In fact, sometimes it's almost impossible to find anything even made in America. Mm-hmm. And with the internet and all of those kinds of things, it's almost impossible to have to go to the store to buy stuff. You can just sit at home and order what you want and those types of things. So, you know, the business community has changed. And what we as a nation, and what we as a community, and what we as a people individually, we need to realize the opportunities that are there and take advantage of the opportunities. We need to refocus our thinking. It's not just enough to grow up and get a job, although for many of us that's even a challenge. But we really need to grow up and think about establishing a business and empowerment in terms of our families, our communities. Yes, sir. No.
And we should not give up just because there are Walmarts and Walgreens and CVS's.
No.
We need to find the niches that they do not do.
That's right.
And we can have. I look at we know Alwyn Drugs is building a new facility in Morton. They have found their niche.
Right.
And so the people who want small businesses need to see where those niches are and not be afraid to go up against the giants, because the giants will not do the service that people really want.
Yeah, we do need more Davids, because David defeated Goliath, and as a small business, if you operate in the right way, and a lot of it can best be personal service, personal attention, satisfying people, knowing people when they walk in the door. Hello, Mrs. Jones. Hello, Mr.
That's
Henderson,
exactly.
and that type of thing, which these big stores can't do. Now, they may have more products in terms of inventory, But that doesn't mean that they can have more service in the personal service and
can.
that type of a thing, right? Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, you know, and that's the challenge, is that to find your niche, to compete, whether you compete locally, globally, we have to think globally.
Right.
I think one of the challenges in the African American business community is that we have to take a look at where are the greatest opportunities for success.
Right.
And when you take a look at, we had a chance to visit a textile company who has about 500 sewing machines, and they make the basketball shorts, the uniforms, and they were telling me that I went there to take a look at the facility. It cost them about $1.50 to make the basketball uniforms. Now, if you imagine $1.50, they sell it to China, and then China then sells it to the U.S. for $80. You know, we can go back and talk to those textile companies and partner with them and do all kinds of wonderful things. I think we just got to get involved in thinking globally. And I don't think in the African American community we're thinking globally because in most cases we haven't done a good job in our own local markets, and we got significant challenges. But that's why our chamber exists. That's why we have to be focused on business growth and development.
How long has the chamber been here in the Peoria area, Larry?
We started back in 1997 is when the chamber started. If you go beyond that, Phoenix organization was before that. So we've been around a number of years.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I know you're very active with the Black Expo here in Peoria as well as nationally, and I want to compliment you for the work that you have done individually as a person who has often been in meetings as a spokesman for community, and particularly the black community, and seeing to it that opportunity does exist equally for all of those. But in addition to your speaking to open the door, we got to make certain that we have some folks that are ready to walk through that door. We have to stay in school. We have to go to and specialize, whether it's in business administration or whatever it is. It takes more to go into business than just wanting to be a businessman. And through your guidance, through your organization's guidance, hopefully those individuals that want to go into business will turn to you and your organization or any other organizations that can assist them in terms of making certain that if they do go into business, that they can succeed in business. Because unfortunately, just as we have a difficult time getting businesses started, unfortunately a high percentage of them, sometimes through faults of their own, but sometimes through no fault of their own, aren't that successful in being able to continue the business. Any of you have any comment regarding that or anything else?
Well, one of the things that the short time that I had, the 6 months that I had in Peoria 150, and I've noticed that they're working on changing that, was the disappointment that I had that there were no vocational programs.
Right.
Not all, I have a doctorate in education, and not all people are going to get doctorates in education. I have one son that is very good with his hands, and he uses them a great deal. People need to understand that vocational programs for students, whether it's white or black, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We need to have those programs because tool and die makers, welders, I mean, you can make a very, very fine living through this process. We have an awful lot of students who have gotten their bachelor's bartending, and we have got people that know how to welding right now. And so I was very pleased to see that the school district has turned to the vocational side. Now on the other side of that, the business people need to open their doors for internships of sort, and get these students in there. Get into the schools and let the students, when they're in junior high, middle school, start to learn about what programs are out there.
Right.
It really is a responsibility. I went to a Chinese high school. It was the best high school in Tiantai. You had to have a score of 97 on their test to get in there. 2,500 students. It looked like ICC. It really did. They were there having instruction 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 4 hours on Saturday, and they actually lived on campus.
Okay.
I don't think we necessarily have to have that, but I do think that we need to have the business community, all business community, open up their doors to these students and give them experiences
Right.
so they know what attendance means, how important that is, how important dedication to a job is. Those are the types of things that are really going to increase the businesses we have, because if they have a taste of it, they're going to want to be the boss.
Well, I totally agree, and I tell you, with the rising cost of education, in fact, you could almost start a business cheaper than what some of these students are going to be owing in terms of their educational loans that may or may not lead to a job. So
Yeah.
I agree with you that we need to establish relationships. College isn't for everybody, nor in my mind was it ever intended for everybody.
No, it wasn't.
And as I tell people that like to work with their hands, if you can get into building trades where they pay you to learn
That's right.
rather than you're paying tuition, and the jobs that you can get as a journeyman often exceeds many professionals in terms of their starting salaries. So I'm so glad that the two of you have shared some of your comments as well as your visits to foreign shores, as well as your encouragement about thinking about business and maybe ways in which we can increase the awareness of business and let business owners take many of the young people under their arms to expose them to what a business is like, what it takes to operate a business, as well as, in a sense, provide them job opportunities while they're learning,
That's right.
as well as opening up some ideas and thoughts in terms of one day they're deciding, hey, I want to be like Mr. Johnson. I think I want to open up me the same kind of business, or even if it's not the one they work in, but at least think about businesses. Well, again, I want to thank you. I'm going to take a break. In fact, during our second half, we're going to be talking to 3 existing black businesses and some of the challenges that they have. And who knows, maybe the opportunities of those 3 may be able to take advantage of some of the things that you've talked about as far as expanding their markets. One of the businesses certainly has. I just found out that this business, which is a black business, is moving to Elmwood in terms of expanding the businesses. Today, Elmwood, tomorrow, China. Who knows?
Right.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you. And
Thank you.
we'll be right back. Stay tuned and see who I'll be talking to in my second segment.